You are Locked On Pistons Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Here we go. How about it? Another victory for the Detroit Pistons at home over the Chicago Bulls. Always great to be the Bulls. This time the Pistons top Chicago 127-119, back above the 500 mark, and a total team effort from the Pistons tonight. Seven players in double figures, 80 points in the paint. We're going to talk about it all, and it's another character building win. And of course, we'll wrap up the show with our studs and duds. That's all coming up next on Live Locked On Pistons Postcast. I am your host, Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietma, and this is Locked On Sports Detroit. It's your post-game home for all things Detroit sports, and it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. How about a huge shout out for today's presenting sponsor, making the show possible, Game Time. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Don't forget your favorite podcast now has a newsletter as well. Introducing the Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. It's your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage, and it's delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. So a little NBA news to begin the program, because my goodness, you talk about the most shocking blockbuster trades in NBA history. That's what transpired last night. Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, and the haul in return is really not that impressive. I mean, Anthony Davis, sure, but a 2029 first round pick and Max Christie. That's right, the former Michigan State Spartan. And in addition to Luka Doncic, the Lakers also receive Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. So how about that? The Jazz, the third team involved, they received the 2025 second-round pick from the Mavs and Jalen Hood-Schifino. So that's what's going on in the National Basketball Association from a national perspective. But how about the win from the Detroit Pistons this afternoon at the LCA? My goodness, you talk about total team effort. You talk about dominating the paint. This was a character building win for the Detroit Pistons because they imposed their will. They stuck it to the Chicago Bulls this evening. And the Bulls, to their credit, hung around, found a way, that sort of thing, not to get blown out tonight. But the Pistons came out and were a little sluggish early. You got to give Chicago a lot of credit because they had the lead after the first quarter of play, 35-30. And then the Pistons really turned up the defense, and that fueled the offense. How many times do we see that from this Pistons team? They outscore the Bulls 34-19 in that second quarter, propelling them to the lead at the halftime break, and then parlay that into the third quarter. Chicago comes back with a strong third quarter frame, but the Pistons right there with them, 32-31, and then an even played game all the way in the second half. But it was that second quarter that allowed the Pistons to go in front and stay in front, and I keep going back to it, but team basketball. I mean, again, 7 players in double figures, and that starts with Cade Cunningham leading the way with 22 points. He was plus 12. Oh, yeah, and by the way, 15 assists for Cade Cunningham. How impressive has he been? The All-Star just continues to make his mark on the National Basketball Association. 22-15. What a performance from Cade Cunningham. And Jalen Duren, listen, hand up. I'm happy to say I might be wrong about Jalen Duren because I demanded more from him in the last 2 games in this homestand, Friday night against the Mavs and then tonight against the Chicago Bulls. Some of his best performances. How about the efficiency here? 9 of 11 and was plus 6 for the afternoon, and go ahead and give him 13 rebounds, 21 points. So 21 and 13 for Jalen Duren. Tim Hardaway Jr. getting in on the action as well, netting 12 points for Asar Thompson as well, and Tobias Harris with 16. So when your starting lineup goes 16, 12, 12, 21, and 22, that's a balanced attack. And oh yeah, you know, Malik Beasley is that spark plug off the bench. Go ahead and give him 5 made 3-pointers. He was 5-11 from the long line, 7 of 13 from the floor. floor. Overall, 19 points for Malik Beasley. Simone Fontecchio with 11 points off the bench and 8 for Ron Holland too. And okay, Ron, you heard me. You made the breakaway dunk tonight. I didn't have to go off on Twitter on you. So all around, just a great night of basketball for the Detroit Pistons. When you talk about team basketball, you talk about winning basketball, and you talk about a complete performance from the guys. That's what you saw tonight against a Bulls team that came in hungry. Again, I think the way they started this game surely was a testament to how much this game means to them and how much this game meant to them. So you got to give the Pistons a lot of credit for standing tough and, again, exuding a brand of basketball that the Motor City can get on board with. 80 points in the paint. That's the most in the play-by-play era for the Detroit Pistons, going all the way back to the 80s. And you talk about 80 points in the paint. I mean, you're going to shoot a high percentage when you're getting those types of looks. And as a team, the Pistons were at 55%, 54 of 99, and 10 of 30 from the long line. So 55% shooting, and that includes the 80 points in the paint. But I want to hear from you as well. Get those comments fired up in the comments section, because the Detroit Pistons have won 2 games in a row now. They're back above the 500 mark. And what did we say about this homestand? We said time to start stockpiling some victories and against some winnable games, winnable opponents or beatable opponents. And with the Mavs coming in, and goodness sakes, we don't even need to get into the state of the Dallas Mavericks franchise, but it is not good. If you don't believe me, take a look at my Twitter at Jake_Rietma. But you beat the Mavericks Friday night, and then you beat the Chicago Bulls here this evening. The Atlanta Hawks come to town next. Again, start to feel good about this Detroit Pistons team. I know I do. And then how about that test against the Cleveland Cavaliers? That's going to be on Wednesday night. And then the 76ers come to town, followed by the Hornets. So you circle those 4 games, and to start the homestand 2-0, and with the 4 games remaining, you feel really good about being able to win 2 of those, if not 3, and that would be a heck of a homestand. Let's hope that's what's in store for the Detroit Pistons. But like I said, want to hear from you on a Sunday evening. The Pistons take care of business at home over the Chicago Bulls, get the win, 127-119. Cade Cunningham leads the way with 22 points, 7 Pistons in double figures, and just a really overall fun game to watch, the way they controlled this down the stretch. And another game where the turnovers were limited, not nearly as brilliant of a game as Friday night against the Mavs, where the Pistons only had 6 turnovers, but just 11 turnovers on the night, and they forced 19. And what do the Pistons do so well? 3rd in the league in fast break points. They get out and run, and you saw that again tonight, or this afternoon, from the Pistons. Great stuff there as well, based on everything that we're seeing with this team as far as the strength of this team is concerned. So 80 points in the paint, 22 fast break points for the Pistons. Great stuff all the way around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll take your comments next, and then we'll dive into the matchup a little bit deeper and look at those 80 points in the paint and who really stepped up and who are studs and duds on the evening. So don't go anywhere. The live Locked On Pistons postcast is just getting started here on Locked On Sports Detroit. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by Game Time. Hey, take the guesswork out of buying tickets to live events. We all love going to live events. It's so fun. And this time of year, you know, the NBA season is heating up. Maybe you want to go see some NHL action. The Wings about to play in that Stadium Series game, wherever your live sporting events might take you. And maybe not, it's not even sports. Maybe it's concerts. You want to get in on the action, going to see your favorite comedy show, whatever it is, a live event. Game Time is your one-stop shop. It's the only ticketing app you need because it's the best. Game Time guarantees the lowest price as you get closer and closer to the start of that show, of that concert, of that game, whatever it is. Game Time's got you covered. There is no doubt about it. And What I love about the Game Time app, you got to toggle this feature in the app, but you turn on that all-in pricing. It's the best. It's efficient. You see exactly what you're going to spend on a ticket, no surprise fees, and that's what makes your life easy. You can take the super deals as well. I love that. Game Time will curate those super deals for you and find exactly what you're looking for. That's the Game Time picks. And I also love the high resolution photo, so there's no guesswork. The best part about the Game Time app is it takes the lowest price guarantee. And if you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. So how about that peace of mind? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Oh, here we go. Pistons beat the Bulls. It's always great when a Detroit team beats a Chicago team in any sport. It could be in women's field hockey. I don't know if they have Detroit versus Chicago in women's field hockey, but if they did, I'd be all in on Detroit getting the dub in there, but especially on the hardwood in the National Basketball Association, like we saw this afternoon at the LCA. So if you were at LCA, let me know. Always love hearing from fans that were down at the game. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights checks in with the Demetrius McNeil hitting us up. Appreciate that. 80 points in the paint, 34 assists as a team. The Luka trade sends shockwaves around the basketball world. Y'all take it one step further, around the entire world, because Luka is a global phenom, and now he's a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I, for one, have my conspiracy theorist hat on. I think there's something more to this. And I think what we heard from Adam Silver this week, he talks about shortening the game to 10-minute quarters. That's a ludicrous idea. You could hear the panic in his voice with the ratings being down and the fact that nobody knew about this trade. Nobody knew. LeBron James didn't know about the Luka trade. Luka didn't know about it. Jason Kidd, the head coach of the Mavs, didn't know about this trade. It just happened in the shadows, as Shams Charania reported for ESPN, and Luka is now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. But I have my conspiracy theories about this one. I think there's other factors at play here. I think the league might be involved. I think perhaps even the owners of the Dallas Mavericks, who it's no longer Mark Cuban. He gave up his majority stock. It is the Alderson family that might be, and this is conspiracy stuff. So if you're in on that, completely understand. But if you're not, I hear that too. But the Alderson family, there's a very, very well-known notion that they want the team, or they want casinos to be legalized in Texas. And if they're not, there's the rumor that they're going to move the franchise to Vegas. But hey, that's again, some conspiracy talk here on a live Locked On Pistons postcast, but it's what's going on in the National Basketball Association. So the Mavericks no longer have Luka Doncic. Instead, they have Anthony Davis. But it was Kendrick Perkins talking that this trade makes the Mavericks better right now in terms of Anthony Davis joining Kyrie Irving and that front court with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. And that is a three-prong monster that is going to be tough to score on for sure if Anthony Davis is healthy. But definitely shockwaves around the National Basketball Association. Keon TV says, do you think Isaiah Stewart need to go in the paint more tonight? No, not necessarily. I honestly, and this is as transparent as I can be, right, wrong, or indifferent. I am who I am. I think Isaiah Stewart is so far down the list of important people for the Detroit Pistons, because I think in order, and you saw it today. I mean, Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Ron Holland, Malik Beasley, even Marcus Sasser, Simone Fontecchio. I feel like all of those guys are more important to the success of the Detroit Pistons than Isaiah Stewart. And yeah, I mean, you can look at minutes played. So Isaiah Stewart played 18 minutes, and Sasser's an exaggeration. All right, I'll take that one back. He only played 14 minutes today, but all of those guys, I mean, obviously Cade Cunningham at the very top. I think Jalen Duren is pivotal to the success of the Detroit Pistons. And again, I've made my opinions on Isaiah Stewart so clear that I just don't think he's a formidable big man in the National Basketball Association when you look at what other winning teams have. So I appreciate the question. I really do. I just don't have the bandwidth to invest a lot of my thoughts into what Isaiah Stewart does, because I don't think he's a part of the future of a winning organization, or an organization that is striving for championships. And I know the Pistons aren't there yet, but certainly striving for a playoff appearance, and not a play-in at this rate. I mean, again, back above 500 at 25 and 24, which you love to see. So the 80 points in the paint, the the 34 assists, all great stuff from the Detroit Pistons this evening. And that second quarter, they really took advantage. Now on the other side too, the Bulls, again, you got to give them some credit too, because they had all 5 starters in double figures and 7 players overall in double figures. And that includes Josh Giddey, who had a couple of big 3-pointers. Vujicic was big from the 3-point line, 4 of 6 from the long line. And that is a testament to the Bulls just hanging around. But ultimately, in the end, it's the Detroit Pistons who had the upper hand and were able to outlast the Chicago Bulls in a well-played basketball game here at Little Caesars Arena. But we're going to continue taking your comments. We'll have our studs and duds next. So if you have a stud, it's going to be hard to find a dud, honestly. It's going to be hard to find a dud for me. Maybe I'll really dig through that box score and come up with one. But this was close to not having one. And a couple more comments before we go, though. How about Ashton DeTrainer? Shout out to him. Detroit basketball. Absolutely. And Keon TV, right back at you, man. Appreciate all the support of the show. And it's fun. It is so fun when the Pistons are winning. They're playing a solid brand of basketball, and we're here to break it down all for you on Locked On Sports Detroit. That is why you subscribe. That is why you like the video. Share the video. Let's continue to grow, and let's continue to get more Pistons fans joining our live post-game shows, because there is nothing like a fun live reaction show with all of your closest Pistons friends joining this community and building it up. That's what it's all about on Locked On Sports Detroit. Alfred Marncu says, great win by the Pistons. Indeed, they're all great, but we'll take a win over the Chicago Bulls at home, 2 straight. And again, I think the immediate upcoming schedule looks favorable. The Atlanta Hawks will certainly be out for blood, given the Pistons win on the road in Atlanta the last time they played just a few weekends ago. Or just a few weeks ago, I should say. So that you're going to have to come ready to play, and that's going to be a fun one, no doubt about it. All right, don't go anywhere. We wrap it up with studs and duds on the other side of this break. Give me your studs and duds next on a lot Locked On Pistons Postcast. And this episode of the Locked On Pistons Postcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. That's right, PrizePicks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and it's not even close. Listen, I play PrizePicks pretty much every day. I might be addicted, and that's okay, because that's how much fun it is. Basketball season's heating up. There's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports, with over 10 million members and billions, with a B, billions in awarded in winnings. PrizePicks makes it easy and fun to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Here's how it works. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. I play PrizePicks all the time because it's just real simple. You pick more, you pick less, and you watch the winnings roll on in. Like, for example, today, pick more on Cade Cunningham's assist, because my goodness, look at Cade's stat line. He had 15 assists. That would have calculated the more right there. That's how it works. It's super fun. You got to get in on the action, and it's super easy to do. All you have to do is download the PrizePicks apps, and download the app today. use that code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Back with you on a live Locked On Pistons postcast, recapping that victory over the Chicago Bulls. 2 in a row for the Pistons, and good to get back over 500 after that 3-game skid. So 25-24, 127-119, the final in this one. I need your studs and I need your duds, because it was another one of those performances from the Detroit Pistons where the studs certainly outweighed the duds. So let me know in the comments. I will start with my studs. It's going to be the interior play of the front court for the Detroit Pistons. I'm talking Jalen Duren. I'm talking the guys that got it done up front. I'll give credit to Isaiah Stewart. I'll give credit to Tobias Harris, to the guys that got it can help contribute to the 80 points in the paint. Cade Cunningham as well, scoring at the rim. And it was a total team effort to really make an impact in the painted area to the tune of 80 points. So that being said, the Pistons have now evened the series against the Chicago Bulls with the 127-119 win. Remember, the Bulls won earlier this year on November the 18th back at Little Caesars Arena. So the next couple of matchups between the Pistons and Bulls will be in the Windy City at the United Center when they meet again on February 11th, and then right after that on February the 12th. So we'll be seeing more of the Bulls, and they'll be wanting to get their revenge. But the studs, the front court play of the Detroit Pistons, as well as the efficiency scoring in the paint, 80 points in the paint, 34 assists, great stuff all the way around. And I don't have a dud. Perhaps at times the defense could have been better, but it has kind of felt like it was that game. Get up and down. I know Blaha and Kelser talked a bit about that, where both these teams want to get out and run. It's going to be a high-scoring game, and in the end, if you score 127 points, you're that efficient, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. And the Bulls coming up short with 119 points. So loved what I saw from the Pistons. Now it's about continuing this momentum, continuing the homestand to continue to stockpile those victories. And again, it's off to a great start, 2-0 on this homestand with 4 more to go. Back above the 500 mark, 25-24. Back above 500 at home too, which is a big deal, 12-11. And this Pistons team continues to take big steps forward, which we absolutely love to see. So great win by the Pistons, and they'll take a short break before welcoming Atlanta to the Little Caesars Arena. With that being said, the Pistons will take on the Hawks tomorrow. So we'll have a little back-to-back action. My apologies there. I didn't realize it was a back-to-back. Back-to-back action with the Hawks tomorrow, and then the Cavs come to town on Wednesday. So the season's picking up. And then on Friday, Pistons and 76ers, followed by a Sunday game at 1 o'clock, little matinee action. Hornets come to town to close out the homestand. So that's all coming up next. As always, we appreciate your tuning into this broadcast, this live postcast, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube and all of the podcast platforms under the Locked On umbrella. The audio-only version of this show will be posted on the Locked On Pistons. And as always, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, because I can feel it. We're going to get close to 2,000 subscribers. And as we launched this channel less than a year ago for post-game reaction shows, we've been through a lot with the Tigers making their run, with the incredible regular season of the Detroit Lions, playoffs, not so much. I know it's sad. The Michigan Wolverines post-game shows with the win in Columbus. That was an incredible moment for Locked On Sports Detroit postcast, and it just keeps getting better. And we have you to thank for that. So we appreciate it. Tell a friend about Locked On Sports Detroit. Give me a follow on Twitter at Jake_Rietma. And as always, it's go Pistons. It's go any Detroit sports team. The Red Wings are hot. How about that? We've got Red Wings hockey later tonight as well in Vancouver taking on the Canucks. It's just all good in the Motor City. So have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow night following Pistons Hawks at Little Caesars Arena. Until then, take care, and we'll see you next time on Locked On Sports Detroit.